See the money, wanna stay for your meal. For me, the cherry on the cake. My first here. I showed you my globe ride. Fish in the balls, fly bouncing on cat. Getting busy, busy. Everybody wanna know what it's like. Everybody wanna see how it feels. Everybody wanna know what it's like. Everybody wanna see how it feels.
So welcome all. Today we're doing the Internship Diaries with our cohort of IIFT Delhi. So we have second year students from various backgrounds coming in today, and we have general management and strategy domains being covered today. So today we have four of us, and I will be your moderator, Ishan. And we will be talking to them, and we will ask them to recall the summer internship experience, which was concluded fairly recently. And so with that, I'll start with Nakul. Nakul, can you give us a brief background about yourself and how was your internship? Where did you intern? A bit about that, please.
Sure. So, yes, my full name is Nakul Narayan. So, I interned at Accenture Strategy and Consulting. So, prior to this, I had 3 years of work experience. I worked as an analyst at Vestas Wind Technology. And was that so here at Accenture Strategy and Consulting, I was part of the digital core strategy team. It was based out of Gurgaon. So my core team members were all in Gurgaon, but my project team members were all at Pune. So we had a hybrid work style there overall. So basically, my work experience. The project was pretty much related to my work ex, so the project was pretty much easy to cover.
Nice. Moving on to Bhagyashree.
Yeah. So I'm Bhagyashree. I am an industrial engineer, and then I further moved on to work in marketing and then consulting. Post with overall I have 3 years of work ex, and after that I got into Axis Bank in their head program for leadership for the strategy department.
Okay.
And so I got a chance to work under the core strategy team, and the most exciting thing for me was they used to sit that was the only department that used to sit with the CEO's office.
Oh,
So
right.
we had our own floor to roam around, and no other people were allowed to come to the floor. So that was something that I was looking forward to.
Right.
And other than that, so talking about my project, so I didn't do one project. I did approximately 3 projects.
Mhm.
So they asked me to cover right from what was going on live project, 2 of them were live projects, and one was a surveillance for the Axis Bank.
Okay.
How was the digital penetration of Axis compared to the competitors.
Right.
So I had to actually go to each and every department and ask for data and all that. So it took a few were data heavy, few were very conceptualizing and preparing the slide stories, going before the
Yep.
manager. So that was pretty exciting for me. So yeah.
Lovely. So now moving on to Sheetal. So yes.
Hi
yes.
everyone, I'm Sheetal Gura and I have done business economics from Delhi University. I have 6 months of experience in HR domain in EdTech company physics wala. So Genuine was something that I was really looking forward to, and Rel program from Reliance Industries has been that for me. So I was specifically working at Infocom Limited, and I was there in mobility care department, and I was in service operations. So I was looking forward to a lot of communications that went from the team.
Right.
So the exact department was communication hub, where my project was majority in IT plus operations, a bit of marketing as well. So it was something very new to me,
Mhm.
coming from HR and then exploring
Of
in
course.
first all the subjects and then finally getting to work in 3 of the domains.
Right.
So it was a really transforming experience for me.
Right. Rahul.
So, hi guys, I'm Rahul Suryavamshi. I am an intern with Tata Administrative Services, and I was a corporate liaison to Tata Play. At Tata Play, my project relied around data integration for Tata Play in order to achieve more customer experience or achieve a better understanding of what a customer is doing
Mhm.
and how we can predict his behavior in the future.
Right.
So to give you a fancy title or moniker that is going, it was called the AI-enabled Revenue Assurance Analytics. I was part of the revenue assurance team for Tata Play.
I think we'll spend some time breaking this down.
Yeah. I had to because I come from an economics background, and
Right.
I have previously been in my family business, as well as we had a few entrepreneurial ventures of my own in two different very domains. So one was in investing, equity investments, and the second one came in the food and beverage industry, where I joined a couple of my friends to build out a brand, and it worked out for a couple of years. Post which I decided to pursue my MD, and general management was something I was looking forward to. And I was lucky enough to be a part of one of the finest general management programs in the country.
Great.
Yeah.
So now that we have some context about each other, I just want to understand what was your first impression of your internship? So in terms of what did you expect, and when you landed in your internship, how were you treated? Did you receive any shocks or anything which stands out?
So initially, for Axis Bank, it's supposed to be like people who had interned previously at Axis Bank.
Right.
They gave us an impression of it being comparatively chiller, maybe, or comparatively having a comfort zone in the bank. However, when I went and when I started and when they kept on bombarding with a number of projects, I was like, this is supposed to be chiller. And I just posted a snap story saying it's 9:30 and I'm still at the office. So it's definitely not
And
the
this
kind
was,
of...
I believe, your first week?
Yes, this was my first week. And this kept on going till the end of my, the end review. So my end review deck was approximately 62 slider. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need a breather.
And conversely to that, when she was asking about being chill, I think going to TAS, one of the things that was told to by my seniors, and sort of the social expectation was that you have to be put together. You'll have to adhere to what are the Tata values.
Right.
And all of those things do come into play.
Right.
But they have a very good program of orienting you into creating that environment where you sort of feel yourself at home. And that goes for the group orientation that happens before from TAS. And then going into the company that you are liaisoned in, where you work, they also have their orientation program where they make you feel at home.
Right.
Yeah, so adding a similar experience, we had a week's orientation program,
Okay.
and it involved a lot of leaders coming in.
Right.
So Geo was something discussed in length. So I did not have any, I had a good background of what Geo is trying right now because of the leader that had come, and he gave a really long session, a very enriching session. And added on to that, we had around 2 days just to get equipped ourselves with the campus as such. So I was at Reliance Corporate Park. It's a very humongous campus, and just to get that feel of working there. So yeah, it was very comforting to say because of the orientation program.
Right. And Sheetal, I believe this was your first corporate experience too, right?
Right. I mean, but I was working from home before, just for 6 months. Yeah, it was my first experience.
Yeah.
And I just saw the vastness and how big Reliance is.
Right.
And I was very excited, to be very honest. We had a very structured program. For example, in the very first orientation week, we were giving our university portal, Reliance University portal, where we were, for every week, we had a theme on that we have to work on. For example, first week is knowing a lot about the technicals, like extend something.
Right.
Second week is how you can lead a team, how you can go approach your mentor. So every week we had a team. We had a group of 10 people in a team, and we had a gamification theme. So as a team of 10, we used to compete with the other cohorts.
Wow.
So it was a thing that, as a team also we have to perform.
Right.
So it kept me along with the project, learning a lot of things from the project.
Okay.
And it was something that I really enjoyed. And second was Reliance Foundation. So being associated with them and having 1 or 2 volunteering sessions, it really changed my perspective of being in a corporate. I thought it's more about what you learn, what you earn for the company. But I think it's beyond that. So having volunteered there, it really made me look forward to other things other than just profitability or maybe just my self-growth.
Right.
But more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but adding all to that, so in our Accenture networking dinner, so it started with the networking dinner. So the team itself is the induction itself started with the networking process where we had leaders who actually made us comfortable in the first session itself. They actually asked for each students from each and every college, and we saw that there were totally 130 interns from especially in Gurgaon itself.
Right.
Overall, we had 350 interns. So
Correct.
they made us comfortable by actually shuffling us between different places. We have to actually network with each and every individual. So I got to work with lots and lots of individuals from like not only the fellow interns from other colleges, but also with the leadership team, lots of senior managers. So their emphasis was more on networking and making us feel comfortable with the environment. Because when I went there, I felt like kind of like a black sheep kind of thing. I felt like out of place because whether I belong, the sense of belongingness will take some time.
Of course.
But right off the bat, they started with such a good amount of networking, and then moving on. So we had a good project briefing. So our project team was also like very much engaged in lots of HR activities.
Okay.
So they specifically engaged us in the HR activities as interns. That they labeled as interns will be participating today. So we managed to win one event also. So that was like, so our team actually never won, actually our Gurgaon team, but we interns stepped in and we actually cracked those challenge and we actually won. So that's something that, the team was so much comfortable actually. So the project and deliverables comes next. First process is it's networking, and then proceeding we had other like project briefings, and up until final review it was all about networking overall.
Right.
So it was great.
And you were based out of Gurgaon, so I interned with Accenture too. So I was based out of Bombay, and so I initially went in, and it was great. It was fancy, right? So we go into these networking dinners as we talk about, and it felt great. We were put up in a nice hotel, and initially I also learned that you have to dress very well in these offices, right? You can't just walk in like you do right now, right? So it was a culture shock for me. I knew what to expect, but then actually doing it is a shock in some way or the other.
Did anyone of you, as an open-ended, did you find your deliverables evolving as the time went through?
Yes. Absolutely.
So I felt that the vision with which I had started, by the mid-review, there was a completely different understanding, not just for me, but also for my manager as what could be the output from this project.
Right.
One thing I also was very lucky with my manager is, my manager had given within a week and a half, there was a sort of, hand-holding done by my manager in order to understand, introduce to the team and everything. But after which, he's like, you're on your own. Figure out what you want to do. And that is something, as TAS interns, especially my CFO within our first week meeting, he said that TAS people are expected to be brilliant. And I expect you to be brilliant. And I was like, okay, that's quite a lot of onus on a young child, if I have to put it that way. But that tag just sat with me, and I'm just like, now this is my responsibility to take forward.
Right.
And I have to execute it to the best of my ability. So by the time my mid-review came, and mid-reviews are very important for our evaluation particularly, I was like, I have to deliver everything. So no weekends off, nothing off.
Yeah.
Personally, my manager used to scold me every day. So both me and my manager, both Rahuls, me and my manager, both from Taiwan, just a kilometer away from each other. And it was a hybrid work environment.
Yeah.
But I used to go to the office every day because it just feels comfortable working in a space where other people are working and not having do your job. I used to ensure that at the end of the week, on a Friday evening by 4:30, I am drafting everything that I've done for the week and everything I expect to do in the next week.
Yeah.
That sort of keeping the manager in the loop was essential to, going forward and converting that PPO, or going forward and, being acceptable to the manager as to, because at a point a manager can come as to what you've done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm in a blind side. I'm completely blind side because he has so many other responsibilities. He's handling other interns as well. But given this practice that I put into place for myself, sort of helped me during my mid-review. And everybody has an understanding. If your mid-review is going well, then you're so much chiller. Because as task managers, you are expected to, answer to people from other boards or boards of Tata Group companies, boards to the Tata Sons board. And that sort of an interaction that completely evolved as to working from an employee to a consultant.
Right.
As to now I'm here to present something within 15-20 minutes to someone who has completely no idea about what is happening.
Right.
And how the financial health or the drive of the company, I think that also completely drives us to how you're going to approach your project.
Right.
With particularly with Tata Play, where I'm working, my fellow conglomerate here had some sort of happening into the media entertainment space, with Disney Plus Hotstar coming in and other things. And Tata Play had stake of other entities which had some conflict. So that changes in equity stake. How are they going to take place? What is going to be the effect on the company? Particularly in the sector which I'm working in, we are not chasing growth. We are firefighting to save our clients.
Correct.
As a sector, we've lost over 3 million subscribers. The revenues are down for each and every company across the board. So, how is it that is going to change the dynamic?
Do you think your bosses are going to like what you're saying right now?
Oh, I think the reality is in the papers. This is public information. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, so when I was giving my final review, it was to someone from Tata Consumer Products as well as Tata Trusts.
Right.
And these days, Tata Consumer Products is a company growing at a very healthy CAGR.
Right.
So for the manager who was the head of business at one of the vertical there, for him to understand what I'm speaking was completely, like, what are you saying? Like, this is not how it works. I'm like, maybe for a FMCG marketing company, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But how I look at my customer is a completely different angle. And sometimes, for the lack of a word, you have to put your foot down. It's like, so this is it. This is how it is. Maybe it's a completely different vertical, that's why you're viewing it differently.
Mhm.
But from my end, this is how the picture looks today.
Right.
How am I going to segment my customers? So it can't be the same in a media entertainment distribution that it is in an FMCG. I'm completely different. When I'm talking about a subscriber here, you're looking at a male, female.
Mhm.
When I'm looking at a subscriber, I'm looking at a family.
Right.
Because connection family will buy it. So this sort of dynamics completely evolved when it came from approaching the project as a company employee to providing a PPT solution as a consultant.
Right. Now, this makes me wonder. So, how important was storytelling to you as an art or as a skill? So you were obviously presenting to very senior stakeholders, and you also talked about the fact that you presented your ideas to someone who had no context of what you were doing, right? And that is when you put your foot down. But how important is storytelling to you in your line of work?
So, with respect to storytelling, I think from the foremost day, so while we are very well versed and interested in how broad our Excel sheets are and how lengthy they can be, the managers and CFOs just want a snippet.
We like our Excel sheets broad, but our story short.
Yes. And I came to a certain number, which is like, this number is wrong.
That's very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
And that was very, and he's like, if this number is wrong, your entire data set is wrong.
Wow.
And this happens 2 days before my final review schedule. And I'm just like, 7 weeks down the drain. And then I go back to my philosophy of, understanding how I've gone through the data, how I've sector filtered, what hypothesis I've used. And then he was particularly honest about that number. He's like, this number is wrong. I don't like this number. You check it. Then I went through almost 15 calls that day with different teams as to, have I done this right? Have I done something else right? Coming down to a philosophy where I have to ensure that these people also get involved in talking to the CFO as to why this number has come this way for this data set. Because I can't expect a data set of 2,500 people to reflect 1.5 crore subscribers. There needs to be an adjustment for certain biases. But that happened in a way that one number was onerous to the CFO. And he just flipped on me on that. This is not good. I don't like this. But next morning, when a couple of the people who he trusts handling the data had spoken to him, he said, this is fine. And then he's coming like, best project, lovely. I was like, I've spent the night sleepless trying to figure out how am I going to change this number. And now you come to me and he's like, best, done. And he's like, story ready? I'm like, no, sir, story to be made. He's like, get me the story. And just before the external panel also, I got on a call with my fellow TAS intern from IIFT. And I spoke to her for almost 2 hours. I'm like, see, you have no idea what my project is. Let me just narrate your story. If that story makes sense to you, I'll put it on the slide.
So, moving to the consultant in the scope. So, obviously, consultants, like, we are always labeled as a PPT making, Excel, number crunching, all this. So, when I stepped in there, so when it's all about like presentation making, so they told that we already have all the resources, in-house assets available. So, we have this quick presentation toolkits and all those text templates and everything which were available. Only thing is about like storytelling, as you said. Storytelling, it starts with actually the problem statements. Like if you have to devise basically a project charter, we had a project charter which had to be devised. It's basically a one slide thing. So where we had to actually list out our problem statement, our deliverables, take from the problem statement till your outcomes and key takeaways, you have to list out everything in this one. So basically that was a single sided thing. But I'll introduce you to a consulting term which they were always emphasizing, which was strawman. Get your strawman right. So basically, strawman is a skeletal form of your idea, whatever you're trying to propose, with just basic data. It doesn't have to have any accurate information. So whenever I approach any senior managers or any consultants with my idea, they know that get your strawman right in your PPT. So whenever they told that I had to think that what is strawman, like what are they trying to say, because it has to actually, whatever idea which I'm presenting, I have get it with the business context, not just the technical intent. So I had to actually list out all the like whatever the deliverables which they're expecting. As I said earlier, it starts with the challenges. What are the pain points of the client? So whatever the understanding of the pain points, I need to immediately map it with the objectives. Actually, those are going to be my objectives. I need to address them first. That will in what particular order. So based on the priority and based on the value creation, whatever it's done in that. So it's about strawman, getting your strawman right, and based on whatever the templates which they had provided. So basically, I had to just map some of the user journey. Basically, they told me to design a user journey for the first part. So up until my interview, they were basically understanding of the problem. I need to basically map the user journey. So they need to check whether my understanding of the client's issues are right. So whatever the client's cause, I have to map it in a buyer and a buyer supplier journey. So I had to map it out. And when I presented it to my in my interview, so then my MD was also there. My MD told that it's not about just listing out the user journey. It's about like comparing the as and to be states. What are the current state and what are the state which you are trying to achieve in the project. So he told me try to map it in such a way, because when you are presenting it in the final review, I need to know the differences. What the current state is missing. What are the gaps? Like what are the process gaps, technical gaps, tool gaps, which are all like this thing between the assets and to be states, and try to map it out in the project. So that's where the storytelling. It's about it's not just listing out the asset states and to be states separately, because I can just tell them this is your current issue, we'll address it. It's about telling it in so that you are empathizing with the client. Whatever the SMEs, the client, like whatever they have told, we are trying to achieve that state, whatever their expectation. So that's how they can get an assurance. It's about building trust with the client, so that your understanding of their problems are right and you're going the correct way. So that was the storytelling which was an Accenture.
So, Balaji, in your case, you work with the bank, right, which you had to work with different involved stakeholders. So, how would you classify your experience in terms of storytelling?
Right.
What were your nuances?
So, first of all, for us on day one itself, I have to brief me about what exactly slide stories were.
Right.
So, slide stories were these A3 size of papers where we divide them into four quadrants, and that is where those were my slides. And whatever is it that I plan to put on my slide, whatever numbers, the numbers can be hypothetical, or you can just put an X% of so.
Yeah.
The title of the slide, along with how the slide will look, you have to put it on a paper, you have to draw it. So that was my slide 3. And accordingly, I kept on making it. So what they expected from me was, like I told you, every week, like on a Friday, I used to have my senior VP, my head of the department, me and Aarti. four of us on a call, and we used to check how much progress have I made since the last time that we've connected.
Right.
So for 8 weeks of my internship, 8 times I connected with them. And one fine here was the mid review that I was done with the mid review, and because these were the only stakeholders that were going to get involved at that.
Right.
So this was one part. Second part was when I used to make these slide stories. Then came the changes, whatever are the changes, or the idea that I was suggesting. I suggested a Gini coefficient to calculate a certain number. However, that might not be very relevant to the sector that I'm talking about. So my understanding of, because I am a very marketing enthusiast. I had been marketing when I was a freshman. I was very into marketing and all that. So I thought as an FMCG.
Wow.
I did not think as I did not think as what a BFSI sector would do. I thought of them as a partner.
Yeah.
But I did not ever think of them as the main play person. So what Nitin used to say was, Bhavishya, you're thinking like a beta. We need an alpha.
He sounds so much like Bhavish.
Adding on to the storytelling part, I initially was working a lot. I had a very narrow approach of the project. I could manage knowing the stakeholders, but I didn't know that what kind of impact my project will have. In the first thing, I thought it's just a general calendar that they're asking for internal purposes. But then I got to know that this calendar will be including the annual review of GEO. I mean, projected there that this is what I made, and then even already tried making once, but they kind of failed. I mean, that tracker didn't sustain for a longer period of time. So I knew that I had inspiration before. I have to talk to people. What are the pain points? So my first ever step was identify the stakeholders with respect to storytelling and why is it needed exactly.
Right.
So to identify those pain points exactly, and to on the final review day, because one of the managers who was taking my final review was the user part. So for that user, this is very small. Like what I was making was very small. However, when it comes, for example, I was making this efficiency tracker. So I had analyzed that how can this efficiency tracker, whatever insights we get, can help bring more business for you. So this was something extra I did in my project to project a story that these are the pain points for internal stakeholders, but for users, this is something more I can bring to the table, that this is how you analyze the tracker. These are the outputs, and these are the improvements that you as the user can make while you send your creatives or whatever to the teams. So the storytelling was more around identifying the pain points, then finally letting the impact know. I mean, this is the impact of what I've created for the businesses, or to get more profitability for Geo as a business.
So, any final thought before we end this conversation? So, any reflections that you might want to share from your internship? Any low points that you want to talk about? Did you cry?
Yeah, I did cry.
Why did?
I did cry. If you don't cry,
Did you even win it?
yeah, exactly. That should be part of it, maybe. Because crying makes you, vulnerable to a point. Then you start accepting things even if you don't want.
Right.
So at a certain point, I was off to you that no, this is how it's done. This is not this is the way and why am I not getting it? I was frustrated at one. And then I cried. And then when I just sat down and looked at things, I think I hit the jackpot then. That is when I came on with my solution. So I think crying, yes.
Right.
So being in Mumbai and being in the campus and also having a lakeside, it was something I actually used to go every day and ponder my day, how it went. Used to cry sometimes, but then again,
No,
the next day,
mandatory to cry.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can choose
then
to cry.
the next day was like a new day. So we had to cope up with it somehow.
Yeah.
Like being in Mumbai, just traveling to Mumbai and living that life that I really wanted to, and know that I will be living the same eventually when I join any company later as such. So it kept me moving. But yeah, there were low days for sure.
So just makes really hard for us because she found open spaces in Bombay.
That's my moment.
Yeah.
So my reflections particularly from the internship was that we are highly compensated, we are highly regarded, and for that we need to give our best.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly that when push comes to shove, you need to be the ones taking the fire. You need to be the ones responsible.
Right.
And that's how your project is going to go forward. And that's how you are going to come forward as a very strong candidate from the organization.
So, Nakul, I have one question for you, and I need you to answer it in the most sincere manner possible. What do consultants do?
So what Nakul just said is like forgot the symptoms but came to the outcomes of the consultant life.